Hey, hey, hey. Time for another out of this world story from rSpace. Wife is having an affair and I'm planning to get out ASAP. The wife, 2 step kids, and I moved from 1,200 miles to Dallas, Texas for my new position, which was offered by my company as a promotion. I was going to turn the offer down because I truly had no desire to move to Texas. I love this place now. She talked sense into me and I took the offer and we moved January of 2020. Not long after that, COVID started and we were left to navigate a new family. Oh yeah, we also got married a week before our big move. Dynamic, a new city, COVID, working from home, and online learning for a 6 and 10-year-old. Life got hectic quick. Fast forward to after our summer vacation, and we got our 2 boys back to get ready for the new school year. That's when things fell apart. We stopped dating each other, and we got tied down with everything that had to do with the kids. Football, taekwondo, schoolwork, parent meetings, and she was out of work because her office shut down. Anyway, we didn't have a great start to our marriage, and we got stale pretty quick. I had issues with the kids as far as their behavior goes. They insisted that they couldn't go to sleep without the TV on. They went to bed at 11 p.m. They ate dinner in front of the TV while playing video games. The older brother picked on the youngest. They couldn't say please or thank you if their life depended on it, and they treated their mother like she was their slave. I obviously would correct the kids, but then my soon-to-be ex-wife would always come in and save their butts. That eventually made me feel like an outsider in my own home. I knew that blended families would be tough, but when you add COVID, a new job, new city, and take the kids away from everything they have ever known, even if it was for a better life, blended family life gets super hard. I started noticing that the kids were doing what they wanted because their mother allowed it. That made me start to get annoyed with her, and she would never listen to me about it. She thought I was being unfair to them. That same year, I started medication for my PTSD, and they had me on a strong dose, which basically took any emotion I had and suppressed them. I would be super happy, but wasn't able to show that I was just blah all the time to the outside world. The meds and not feeling like the man in my house made me stop showing affection to my wife. I would always cook, clean, do laundry, let her sleep in, make coffee for her every morning, and bring it to her bedside, get the kids up for school, etc. So to me, I thought my actions said I love you. But I was wrong, since she didn't think I did because her love language was words of affirmation. Anyway, fast forward. She brings up divorce a bunch and moving out a bunch, to the point where I start to also think that maybe divorce was the best option. She moves out in December. 2 weeks go by and my head is clear and I got the right dosage of my medication now. For 2 weeks, I've been coming up with excuses to come over to her apartment to see her and the kids. Well, one day, I decided to surprise her with flowers. I go over while she's at work. She never locks the door, shake my head, and drop the flowers off only to see a strange book bag in her room. I asked her son, he was home sick, if another man has been sleeping here, and his exact words were, "Please don't tell Mom, but Lewis has been staying over here for a couple nights." I was heartbroken. I called her and asked her, and she said she would never do anything until the divorce was over. Mind you, only 2 weeks has gone by, and she already had another man sleeping over, and he had been around the kids. I knew she was lying, but I didn't want to believe it. So naturally, I went into desperation mode. I started talking to her every day, trying to convince her to come back. I started doing all the small things I did for her, like bring her the same coffee I first got her the day we met. I sent flowers to her office, etc. It was all met with anger and her telling me we will never be together again. My best friend told me not to stay home alone for the holidays, so I purchased a ticket to go visit him in Florida. I've been talking to my soon-to-be ex-wife, and I asked if I could spend Christmas with her and the boys, and she said no, that I needed to go to Florida and have a good time. So I fly out to Florida for a few days and missed Christmas. During that time, the ex-wife is communicating with me every day, and we will laugh and talk about the good times. I come home and asked her if I could do New Year's with her, and you guessed it, she said no. One day, she asked me to go check on the kids, and she was really stressed. Well, she calls me back and tells me to forget it because she's on her way. Something told me to still go over to her place and check. When I get there, she's not there. I took this opportunity to snoop around the house, and to my surprise, her closet was filled with men's clothes and sneakers, and her bathroom had all his shower stuff and shaving stuff. I called her to tell her I checked on the boys, and that I know she's having an affair. She apologized and said she didn't tell me because she didn't want to hurt me. I decided to get back on the plane to Florida, and I stayed out there for another week. During that time, she's still texting me and I'm trying hard to get my wife back. New Year's Eve, we text all day, and I tell her I will call her to wish her a Happy New Year. I call, and she sends me straight to voicemail. I call again, and she does it one more time. Finally, I text her, "You're not picking up because he's sitting right next to you, isn't he?" Her only response was, "I don't know what to say. I already told you that I was seeing him." My heart, of course, shattered, and like a dummy, I kept telling her we can fix this and I forgive you and just taking all the blame. Well, for 2 more weeks, we would keep talking and me constantly trying and setting up meetings with a therapist. She wasn't having any of it. She would blame shift and gaslight me so bad. She said she cheated because she was mad and that it was my fault. I even believed her that it was my fault. But she kept having the affair with him and kept him around. Slowly, I started to cut her off of everything, financial-wise. Eventually, I started to come to my senses that it's not going to work. The final straw was when she was crying that she got rid of her affair partner so she can work on herself. She was more upset about ending it with him and blaming me for her financial problems, but wouldn't work with me. I tried to help her find insurance, and she hung up the phone on me. I was done. So I missed Christmas, New Year's, our anniversary, January 23rd, 2020, our son's birthday, the anniversary of us moving to Dallas and having all our grand plans and ideas. All of that was gone in the blink of an eye. I acknowledged my faults and what I contributed to the fall of the marriage. I've apologized numerous times, took the blame, and even came up with a solid game plan. See a therapist together and individually, go on a date once a month, do something with the boys once a month to build up a bond. For us to restart our marriage. She didn't care for any of that. My question is, what do I do? I try to stay busy with work, the gym, church, go out and try new restaurants, etc. But somehow, with all the stuff she's done, I still feel bad for her. I want to help her. I still love her, and I still think about all the plans we had. Deep down, I know the marriage was toxic. I didn't have the affair, so why is it that I'm the one who feels like I did the crime? Is this normal to feel this way? Side note, she was talking to the guy 3 weeks before she moved out. I actually know him, and so does the whole football team. Now the head coach is asking if I'm comfortable coaching this year with all the mess. Update, February 28th, 2020. As soon as I get along with my life and forget about my soon-to-be ex, guess who comes calling out of nowhere? As some of you know us, here in Texas was hit hard with the snowstorm. Anyway, she texted me early morning on Sunday and asks if I had water. Mind you, earlier I told y'all that we still live in the same apartment complex. Anyway, she knew my water was off because we both got the same email from management. So then she proceeds with her small talk, and I already figured out what she was doing. I tell her I need to get ready for Mass. 45 minutes later, she texts me saying she can think clearly now and is sorry, half-hearted attempt where she still felt justified for her ongoing affair. For her part, but we both failed each other. I asked her why she didn't want to work on it back when we had a chance, and she said she was mad. She proceeds to start her long-ass rant about how terrible her life is, how terrible the kids are acting, how she feels like she failed at everything in life, and she's so lost and so hurt and etc, etc. Just giving me the sob story of her life. Sending me photos of her in her new outfits and asking me if I liked how they looked on her. Shake my head. Insert eye roll. Ladies and gents, she was texting me all of this. Wait for it. With her affair partner in the living room. Is this a joke or what? She is literally all over his Facebook page and is still actively dating this man. And he still spends more than half of the week over at her house, yet she's texting me and complaining about her problems. She also tells me that she wants someone who can't keep their hands off of her and hugs her as she walks through the door, and someone who thinks that she is the whole world and will die without her. I am not a dog who stays home all day waiting for his owner to come home, so that was the text that did it for me. I told her that's not love, nor is that realistic, but good luck. I could never provide that for her, and no man can. Divorce will be final in 3 more weeks, and I cannot wait. Update, March 24th, 2020. Well, divorce has been finalized. The last 2.5 weeks, she played around with me and told me she wanted to work things out, but she needed time to think. Avoided seeing me in person, avoided questions, blamed everything on her depression medication, etc. She kept giving me hope and then backtracking. She kicked the affair partner out so she could think. Well, yes, he was gone for a week. But Monday, she calls me and tells me that she's made a decision. I'm like a decision between him and I, or a decision in general. She was quiet and I already knew what it was. Long story short, I got no explanation from her. The very next day, I took the final divorce decree to the courthouse. Later in the day, she seemed so excited to know if I got the paper signed or not. This broad tells me that she wanted to remain friends because I'm a good guy and she does love me. 2 hours later, her boyfriend's vehicle was back at her place. Gotta love it. Let's get an insightful comment from the community. Namely, KudaBear86. Nothing justifies, you did this and this and this, so that means I'm gonna go break vows and commit sexual infidelity. Not a dang thing justifies it except maybe you cheating first. She is painting herself as the victim here and thinks that justifies her affair. She will do anything, say anything, and heed any advice from a slanted source that tells her, you deserve to do this, girl. He should have known what he had coming. No, that's BS. Nothing, and I mean nothing, justifies breaking the eternal vows made that you both made before God. My brother caught his wife having an affair, and she stopped doing it, and they worked through it. It was hell, but they came out stronger. This broad went and freaking did it again to you. All the while the vain side of her that was bored with you and your affection caused her to go start poking Lewis, is already bored with Lewis, and she is wanting attention, affection from you, asking about how outfits look, etc. She also tells me she wants someone who can't keep their hands off her and hugs her as she walks through the door, and someone who thinks that she is the whole world and will die without her. But what does she do to deserve the behavior? Lots of girls want this, and they're all take and no give. Divorce this vain, insecure piece of trash, and find a girl who will give you as much as you give. You will be much better off in the long run. She has broken vows twice now, and it also talks about in the Bible how one of the things that justifies divorce is sexual infidelity. So you're still good with God on moving forward with this divorce. This broad is a sick and twisted individual, and she has some demons in her that is causing her issues to now affect you and your children. You stayed faithful, brother. You didn't do the crap she did. You shouldn't feel bad for crappy choices that she is making. Her children are also going to see the terrible example of when you're not happy. You just find a new one regardless of the consequences it has. Know your worth. You moved 1,200 miles to start a new life and try to provide a better one for her and the kids, and she wasn't satisfied with that. Oh no! She's the first mom that has a week saturated with martial arts, sports, scouts, and church? I'm sure all those busy moms just go out and bang other guys. It's totally normal. Said no one ever. I'm a simple father with primary custody, and I handle jiu-jitsu, church, youth group, and scouts each week for my son who lives with me. It ain't that dang hard. This attitude she has of woe is me equals go seek affection validation elsewhere is complete garbage. You're better off. Feel free to DM me if you ever need to chat, brother. I'd be happy to lend an ear. I'm also in Houston, so I can tell you a lot about Texas family law, etc. The OP responds, man, I wish I could love this comment. You hit the nail right on the head with this one. She always has the victim mentality, and it's everyone else's fault for her issues. I know she's justifying her ongoing affair by the way she still talks. It's insane. She never showed the love that she wanted. Everything was me, 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 and never about us. Honestly, one of the biggest things was my religion. I felt I had a duty to work on this until there was absolutely no fixing it. I took the vow under God and told him forever. It just baffled me how easy that went out the window for her like it meant nothing. Once my therapist made me take a good, honest look at the relationship, I started to realize I was shouldering all the weight. Heck, the soon-to-be ex-wife even said she never listened to me and that she wouldn't budge or compromise. She didn't bring anything to the table, and now she's living a couple 100 yards away from me and is on the struggle bus heavy. KudaBear has her final response. It's like this. Narcissists will absolutely use a victim mentality in order to justify their abuse of others. I know the narcissist line is getting really overplayed these days. I see women do it every time they don't get their own way. He's a narcissist, that's why. Somebody isn't a narcissist just because you throw a fit that you can't get the candy you asked for. Basically, she has such a grandiose sense of self-importance that the world exists around her. She probably uses her motherly burdens as poker chips to justify irrational behavior as well. The example that she is setting for her children is freaking terrible. May God have mercy on her by allowing the children to see past it. Somebody that always uses the victim card presents an unwinnable war to anybody involved in their lives. My kid's mom did it, and what drove her off the deep end was a judge finally saying to her that she was wrong. For the first time in her life, somebody in a position of authority denied her wills and wants. In a nutshell, she's an incredibly selfish person. You have to know your worth, and trust me when I say this, any man worth his salt is not going to give that woman the time of day. She will only be with guys that are stupid enough to be with her after her failed track record of egregious choices. I've been on many dates before I met my current significant other, and let me tell you, I was always adamant about digging, and if I determined that a girl made some pretty reckless choices and had poor judgment, I would no longer waste my time on her dumb self. She can go be somebody else's problem. In this case, don't let the victim mentality of this broad be your burden anymore. Hold the line. Don't succumb to her woes and go running back. Hold the line.